Are there any fake French words used in English? Are there any fake French words used in English? By fake French I mean words that are of French origin but are not actually correct French. This could happen if the word changes as it becomes adopted by English speakers. Fake may not be the best term for this. If anyone can think of something better, please let me know. I mean French-derived terms that have evolved to the point of no longer being common usage French. Some examples of the reverse, i.e. fake English words used in French. Relooking, which means makeover. This is derived from the English word look, but relooking is not used by English speakers. Happy end, minor difference, but in the US at least we say happy ending and not happy end. Brushing, blow drying your hair is called unbrushing, clearly derived from English, but if you announce I'm going to get a brushing today nobody will understand you. Afterwork, I'm not certain here, but I think an afterwork is extremely rare in English. In French, however, an afterwork is common and refers to meeting up after work, for example at a bar. Smoking. In French, unsmoking is a fancy dinner jacket, which comes from the English smoking jacket, but you can't say I'm going to wear a smoking tonight in English, at least not in the US. Inspired by Dan's comment, footing means a jog, you can't say I'm going on a footing in English, and the French Wiktionary article explicitly states that this is a faux anglicism, found after following links on Wiktionary. Unlifting means a facelift. It's another English-derived French word that was never actually used by English speakers. The word fake in my title might be confusing. I'm not looking for words that are pronounced with fake French accents, but rather for French-derived words that have evolved to the point of no longer being common usage French, or that were never used in French to begin with, the way the French word footing was never used in English. This question was closed for being too broad. This edit is an attempt to narrow it down. I'm looking specifically for words that A. are used in English, B. are derived from French, but C. would not make sense to a French speaker, either because the word was never used in French in the first place, or because the French and English versions of the word have drifted extremely far apart. An example of the reverse is I'm footing in French. A footing is complete nonsense in English, and it would be hard to even guess what it means. Some examples of words that aren't what I'm looking for. The US usage of entree doesn't really satisfy criterion. See, above. Sure, the meanings have diverged a little bit, but barely. Same comment as above for the US usage of petite. It's still understandable to a French speaker. I'm particularly interested in French-derived words that were never used in French, the way footing and relooking were never used in English.
Double entendre is a fake term made of two real French words which is only understood by English speakers and has no real meaning in French. This URL.
Yes, there's even 2 sections for different types of these in the Wikipedia article about French phrases used in English. List of French expressions in English. Not used as such in French. Found only in English. I remember reading before that nom de plume is not idiomatic in French, where instead they use nom de guerre. However, it appears that nom de plume now exists in French as well, thanks to Bast for the correction, possibly due to influence from the English term. Another funny one I vaguely remembered reading about is giclée, a neologism coined to make art printed using an inkjet printer sound fancier, but that has unfortunate connotations of ejaculation in French. It literally refers to a spurt or squirt.
One French word which has, perhaps amusingly, taken on a dramatically new meaning in English, especially us, is douche. Shower?
Entrée actually means appetizer in French. The French use plat principle ou plat de resistance for entrée.
Patron. First time I traveled to the US, I was quite puzzled by a patron parking only sign outside a restaurant. Patron evolved differently, with one of it English meaning being customer, while in French patron main exception is colloquial for manager, i.e. translates to boss. I somewhat hesitated to risk parking my car to a space I thought was reserved for the manager use. It is quite amusing to see that what used to be the Latin patronus has slightly evolved in English to finally mean client, while the latter precisely comes from the Latin clientus, which was the exact antonym of patronus. Verge. Another puzzling word I saw in the UK. Some road signs show soft verge, keep off or soft verge for 2 miles. That would be soft shoulder in the US and acquittements non-stabilizers in French. Verge originally meant roll, wand in both French and English, but the meanings highly diverged as nowadays. In French, the word is almost exclusively used as a non-slang medical term for penis, phallus. Grapes. As already answered by Blokedown pub raisins are French raisin seconds, but it happens also that grapes, which comes from the French gros, equals cluster/bunch, are French raisins. That means a cluster of grapes translates to un groupe de raisin. Pet Paris. Once in the New Jersey, I saw a store likely selling pet stuff that was named Pet Paris, obviously a pun with pet and pot pourri. Their authors were obviously unaware the pun was much more funny in French. While pot pourri means, I guess like in English, a mixture of dried flowers, pet pourri means rotten fart. I just found there are several businesses using that name in the US, a similar shop still in NJ, a website, a grooming place in FL, and even a nickname. Demand. Not exactly a fake word, but there is a serious difference in meaning with the French demander that sometimes lead to issues. A demand is an exigence in French, while the French demander is just a polite request. I have seen English-speaking pissed off by what they thought was an arrogant behavior when unaware Frenchmen were demanding something while they really just asked for it. Preservatives. English preservatives are French conservators, while French preservatives are English condoms. Reservoir. English reservoirs are French lacs de retenue/lacs artificiels. It used to be reservoir too, but that meaning has been lost in current French. French reservoir is mostly used to express what is in English a fuel, or any liquid, tank. Fabric, tissue. English fabric is French tissue, while French fabric is English factory. English tissue is mostly used to name what French call mouchoir en papier, Kleenex too. Concierge. English concierges will eventually be named concierges too, but currently, most French people are reluctant to call them that way because traditionally French concierges, essentially located in the ground floor of Paris area buildings, are what is called in English janitors/caretakers. Nowadays, these old-style concierges have mostly disappeared though.
If you want to support the channel,